Nvidia, one of my favorite semiconductor companies, has fallen a nice amount from its 52-week high of roughly $480. Right now, the stock pre-market, as I am recording, is sitting at 405, and it probably will hit the lower 400s and maybe go down to the higher 390s. On today's episode, what I want to do is not really talk about the price point. This is a company that I believe is going to be very, very volatile because of this crazy AI market. But I want to take a closer look at two things as a long-term investor that would really worry me about Nvidia in the long term of things. So let's take a closer look in today's episode. So I want to say right now, Nvidia, with a market cap of roughly $1 trillion, this is a company that's nearly or almost or pretty much priced to perfection. So it can't have any hiccups. And this is why, for me, buying Nvidia at these price points might sometimes kind of freak me out because I don't believe any company can ever, even though they've always had kind of a way to kind of meet expectations and go on and kind of showcase that they are this top AI leader, no company is perfect, and they're always going to hit some hiccups. They're always going to face some headwinds, and I do believe that's the case. So I don't want to buy a company that's priced to perfection. Luckily, Nvidia is one that I've had for numerous years, so a much lower price point entry. And we can see this kind of perfection. I actually wanted to take a closer look at Nvidia's current fiscal year estimation. So right now, analysts are expecting this company to make roughly $43 billion in revenue by the end of this year, and most of it is being driven by that AI market. Historically, I mean, let's take a closer look at revenue annually for Nvidia. I believe last year this company made roughly $26 billion. So in theory, this company is expected to grow. It's already a huge company, to grow its revenue by almost over 75% in a year-over-year basis. So to me, right, we can see why that's kind of priced to perfection. And right now, we just finished quarter one of this company's fiscal year, right? This most recent quarter one, the company made roughly $7.2 billion. The company also gave us guidance for quarter two, and for quarter two, they expect it to be roughly $11 billion. Now, if we kind of take a closer look at what that looks like, all right, so we know for quarter one, Nvidia made $7.2 billion. For quarter two, they guided for roughly $11 billion. That means in the first half, the company is going to make roughly $18.2 billion based on their guidance. Remember, analysts are expecting for the full year for this company to make roughly $43.8 billion. So now for the second half, the company needs to make roughly $25.6 billion. That second half, or in 2 quarters of this year, the company needs to make as much money as they made the whole last year of fiscal year of 2023. So for that to happen, quarter 3 estimates need to be roughly around $12 billion. Quarter 4 estimates need to be roughly $13.6 billion. And I don't think it's impossible, especially if they kind of meet this guidance. For example, if we take a closer look at these earnings that are expected to be released within the upcoming weeks, they kind of make that $11 billion. I don't think it's going to be impossible for them to kind of meet that quarter 3 and that quarter 4 expectations of roughly 12 to 13 billions, right? I do want to say this jump from 7.2 to 11 billions is going to be the hardest, and if they're able to do, I do believe it will ease a lot of investors' mind. But it's not as easy as just kind of jumping, right? I do want to say there are 2 things that investors should keep an eye out for. But before we take a closer look at those 2 points, I do appreciate the support from you guys. We just hit 27.2 subs. I'm trying to hit 30,000 by the end of the year. So if you can subscribe, if you haven't, make sure to do that. Make sure to hit the thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what are your thoughts on Nvidia. If you want to learn more about the semiconductor market, I do have a membership program with weekly videos, deep dives on earnings, on companies, on random events in the semiconductor space. Make sure to hit the join button. If you want a special offer for the Fool, check out fool.com/Jose. If you want a free newsletter, check out josenajarro.substack.com. And finally, I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode. All right, so the first way that I believe Nvidia might not be able to make these expectations are based on Nvidia having a true bottleneck on the amount of chips that they can supply. So right now there's not enough supply to meet the demand. And the reason there's not enough supply is because the way to create these chips has a little extra process, right? So TSMC, the world's largest manufacturing company of semiconductor products and advanced semiconductors, they have enough capacity for the front end. So they have enough capacity to create as much wafers as pretty much Nvidia needs to some extent. What they don't have enough kind of capacity for is the back end of chip manufacturing. And I talk a little bit about this in my membership program. I have a full video on front end and back end. So if you want to check it out, make sure to check out the membership. But the back end is a little bit more of the creation of the chips. And unfortunately, for AI chips, you need to do a form of advanced packaging. And TSMC, the biggest manufacturing, doesn't have enough capacity to meet up with that demand. So that is one of the ways that Nvidia could be kind of estimating that, hey, look, we're expecting these many chips from TSMC, and that's why we gave the $11 billion guidance. But who knows? Maybe TSMC could have something, maybe a fire, could have a hiccup somewhere where they're unable to meet that demand that Nvidia needs per quarter, and that can definitely hit kind of those revenue estimates for at least a quarter and really cause some fear for investors. I want to give the benefit of the doubt. I would hope that a company like Nvidia, they understand how much capacity they can get, like 100% capacity they can get for a full quarter, and they probably play on the safer side. And when they do guidance, they maybe do only like 80 or 85% of that capacity, just in case there are any hiccups for TSMC. Another thing is Nvidia. There are reports that Nvidia is looking for other companies to kind of help out with the advanced packaging as well. So right now, I do want to say the biggest bottleneck for Nvidia to be able to meet these AI demands is the supply that they have. So they have to be really, really careful with the guidance that they give. And analysts that are evaluating these companies needs to be very, very careful on what type of estimations they give based on what TSMC can project on their overall kind of chip production. So that's very, very important. And I do believe that's the biggest Achilles heel that Nvidia needs to face. The second one is one that I believe is kind of happening right now. Over the weekends, we did see there are reports that OpenAI could file bankruptcy at the end of 2024 because it becomes so expensive to kind of run these chips, to run this AI market, because GPUs are power hungry, and the amount of energy and the amount of power and the amount of tools and the amount of money you need to run these huge AI farms is insane. So one thing that we could see is, I believe the AI space is here to stay. I do believe the AI market is going to revolutionize the world. What might be happening, though, is right now we're seeing this huge influx of demand of AI products. I do believe we're going to have a nice amount of AI products in the long term of things, but maybe the short term of things, we might see some makeups as maybe it becomes too expensive for certain companies. I mean, ChatGPT has the backings of big players like Microsoft, right? So I don't know how true this is of OpenAI going bankruptcy, but it does kind of create that kind of crack on NVIDIA's kind of bullishness that, hey, what if the AI market, I'm not saying it's going to die down. I'm just going to say it's going to slow down compared to how it's been in these past few quarters. Maybe slow down a little bit, and obviously that can also impact NVIDIA's estimates and guidance for the upcoming quarters. So right now we are still in the early innings, I want to say, for AI. I do believe AI is going to revolutionize the world and technology. The question is how fast, and is the investments that we're seeing right now going to continue, or are they going to slow down throughout the quarters where NVIDIA is going to miss out on some of the estimates that analysts expect out of them. So I want to say those are the two biggest issues that I think NVIDIA is going to have to face. Like I mentioned, no company is perfect, but at the end of the day, I'm not planning on selling any of my shares for NVIDIA. I do believe within the next 5-10 years of me continuing to hold this company, the AI market and NVIDIA is going to continue to lead in that space as AI continues to revolutionize the world. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.